I got it. If he does that with his permission, he said, Muhammad, just let me get it, and then, just give me permission to pay it for you now. And then if he does it with his permission, then he can go back. But if he just did it, he technically can't go back to Muhammad. Zayd can't go back to him and get him to pay him back because he did it without his permission. So it's essentially just a charitable action on his part, and he didn't seek the permission of that individual to take on that person's financial responsibility. So then he can't go back to him and seek payment. And Allah knows best. And then he goes on to say, it is not permissible to guarantee something that is not specified or not yet due, except guaranteeing that a sale item is legitimate. Okay, so we mentioned that you are able to guarantee payment of debts that have potential to become irrevocably established, or that they're already irrevocably established. What about something that's not even due? With rare exception, this being one of them, you can guarantee them. What is that? I sell this book to Ibrahim for $10, and we exchange it, or let's say for a check, $10 check. I sell it to him, and then I'm like, wait a minute, this might bounce, so I need some guarantee. So then, Sister Maryam could say, well, I'll guarantee that if it bounces and everything is returned, that I'll guarantee you that the value of the book and that it'll be returned. So basically, that is a scenario where you can do it because technically there's been an exchange and there's nothing owed. However, sometimes in the case of sales, we might be worried about the legitimacy of or the lack of defect of the article of sale or the legitimacy of the price. So then that guarantee can occur so that either the buyer or the seller or both are comfortable that there's some sort of guarantee on that transaction prior to parting company. And Allah knows best. La ilaha illallah. Are there any questions on that before we move on to guaranteeing physical presence? Go ahead.
Is the guarantor also on the hook for additional costs that they may have to absorb because like a check bounces? Or are they just guaranteeing the face value of the check?
They're guaranteeing they're guaranteeing the return of the article of sale. Should there be a problem with the price? Yeah. So that wouldn't, and Allah knows best, that wouldn't be on them. And then even there may be a discussion of bounce check fees, whether we would say they're valid in the sacred law. But again, whether they're valid or not, there's a whole list of problems. Parking tickets probably aren't valid either, but nobody wants a warrant or their car to be impounded. So, those kind of things have to be taken care of. La ilaha illallah. Okay, so he goes on. فصل والكفالة بالبدن جائزة إذا كان على المكفول به حق لآدمي. Okay, so now we're dealing with another part of guaranteeing, and that is guaranteeing physical presence. And actually, we have to add to the definition of guaranteeing. It is الضمان لغة الالتزام وشرعا التزام حق ثابت في ذمة الغير أو إحضار عين مضمونة أو بدن من يستحق حضوره. Or you can also say that guaranteeing is guaranteeing or taking responsibility to bring a guaranteed object or the body of someone who deserves to be brought into physical attendance. So what is that? That is like someone who has La ilaha illallah. I'm hesitant to say this just because in some audiences it will open up a cans of worms. But like someone who had wrongfully killed someone. and there was going to be qasas, there was going to be execution for them. Or someone who had wrongfully maimed someone, and there was going to be qasas, there was going to be like a retribution taken, and for instance, their tooth was going to be knocked out because they knocked out a tooth or this or that. So then we have this person, and they need to, for instance, straighten out some of their affairs before this occurs. Then someone can say, well, how do we know that this person is going to come back if we allow them to go? Basically this person has a punishment that's going to be levied on them. What is the guarantee that so-and-so is going to come on, such and such date and time when this punishment is going to take place? So then someone will say that they are responsible for bringing them. And so that's what's going on here. And it's 7.1.1, guaranteeing physical presence. It is permissible to guarantee another's physical presence if the one whose presence is being guaranteed owes something to another person. And let's see what he says in his footnote. This includes, crimes such as murder and accusations of illicit fornication, but not theft, drinking intoxicants. Because in the case of like murder, there's a right that they owe someone else who's a human, and thus they have to be brought in order for the right of that human to be exacted. So the person says, it's on me. I'm responsible to get them here on the Jumada Awwal of 1432. So then they have to get them there to that place. What happens if they don't come? All right, sir, you guaranteed their presence, so you need to get them within 24 hours, or we're going to lock you up until they come. So that's really not something somebody wants to do. And honestly, there's no punishments. We were in South Africa at this university, and some smart guy was heckling the speaker about execution for apostasy, and he said, there's many conditions and circumstances, and honestly, that's the law of it, but in reality, if you apostate, nobody's going to execute you anyway. So we understand, though, from these punishments, the gravity of those offenses. And that's one of the causes the scholars say for the legislation of those is those are specific prescribed punishments that are legislated as a deterrent from committing those crimes. We also see by them the gravity of that offense, with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So even if someone didn't feel that they were going to get caught, they still realize the gravity of that. And then also, we could see the enormity of someone else's rights by that discussion, You knock someone's tooth out, your tooth is supposed to get extracted, or you own 5 camels, for a tooth. 5 camels, Brothers be real quick sometimes to, if I disagree with someone, I'm going to punch them in the mouth. Well, 2 teeth, that's 10 camels. Camels are a couple $1,000. So you owe them 5 camels, there's 10,000 right there for a tooth. The rights of others are extremely grave, and Yawm al-Qiyamah, there's no more camels in gold or silver, there's just good deeds and bad deeds. So we should understand these. Again, nobody's going to say, I'm going to bring him and blah, blah, blah. But we should understand from this just that we have a law and we have a code of conduct, and it's significant, and the rights of others are significant. And just be careful. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to keep us all safe. La ilaha illallah, from unfulfilled obligations. So we're going to move on to another type of dealing, if there are no questions there, and that is partnerships. La ilaha illallah. Any questions? Hayakum Allah. Alhamdulillah. There's always more questions dealing with worship. This is part of our communal obligations, though. Some of these, at least. Some of these agreements. If you're going to engage in them, our personal obligations. If you're going to engage in them, you have to know these. And again, this is a summary treatment introducing us to these chapters. And a lot of modern financial transactions need a more thorough treatment. And typically, the Hanafi school is better served and serves better for that in our time. The Hanafi scholars have done more work in modern finance than those of the Shafi'i school. So the author says, radiyallahu anhu wa ankum, may Allah be pleased with him, فَصْلٌ لِلشَّرِكَةِ خَمْسُ شَرَائِطٍ. أن يكون على ناض من الدراهم والدنانير وأن يتفقا في الجنس والنوع وأن يخلطا المالين وأن يأذن كل واحد منهما لصاحبه في التصرف وأن يكون الربح والخسران على قدر المالين ولكل واحد منهما فسخها متى شاء ومتى مات أحدهما بطلت. So this is partnerships in Islam, and partnership is good, it's praiseworthy. There are some types which are invalid. Here we're dealing with a valid type. La ilaha illallah. So what do we say when we mean partnerships? And actually let's read through that and then we'll come back over it. Partnership 7.1.2